Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! The following video will contain spoilers from the Legends of Tomorrow season finale episode titled Legendary. Also, this video will be talking about language and topics of a frank and explicit and adult nature, such as BDSM, bondage, and other various things like that. So, viewer discretion is advised. Not to mention very strong, in some cases, four-letter words. So, if any of this happens to offend your sensibilities, and you don't want to be spoiled or ruined for Legend of Tomorrow, which I'll also be talking all about Arrow and The Flash as well, stop watching now. Hey guys, Dave here. And, well, it's interesting about making this video. See, I've actually been getting a lot of new people who are reaching out to me, subscribers, things like that. And by the way, from the bottom of my heart, thank all of you. I do appreciate it. And recently, I was asked to make a video regarding a couple petitions that have been put out online. There are a couple petitions on change.org asking to try to get Black Canary back onto Arrow. Well, if you take a look down below in the video description, you can find them. And yes, I'm going to go into that more in detail, but you see, the big part of what's leading into all this is the fact that somebody politely asked me a question. They like what I have to say, and I said sure, out of being polite and being of the same topic of interest that I enjoy talking about. Sure, I can do that, but there's more to it than that. See, I looked through these petitions, and they cover certain things, but it just doesn't seem to have the emotional punch, according to me, that I think needs to be said to actually make any kind of a change. So, let's look at a few things that do have an impact. If you take a look at the title of this video, Black Canary and BDSM, and you're wondering, what the heck is that exactly? Well, let me give you a little explanation. BDSM covers a lot of the kinky fetish lifestyle things that the initials stand for other different things that you probably would have heard of. The B and D stands for bondage and discipline. The DS stands for dominance and submission. And the S&M stands for sadism and masochism. You might have heard of S&M. That's pretty much it. Altogether, it comprises of that big, beautiful world. It's a lot of interesting things, and I actually also wrote about it in my book. So, yes, do I have a personal interest in these kind of things? Yeah, I've done my own exploration in what I like, what I don't like. And, well, since I wrote it in a book of theories and thoughts, as Adam Savage once put on Mythbusters, the only difference between science and screwing around is writing it down. So, what does this have to do with Black Canary? Well, funny you should say that. See, actually, the comic book world does have a lot of things that actually are tied with the bondage world. There's a lot of things that have damsels in distress in it. A lot of the heroes and heroines in them getting captured. In fact, Wonder Woman is also a big one that the first original Golden Age stories involved being tied up. And in fact, her original Golden Age weakness was if she was bound or chained by a man, she lost all of her powers. But, I'm getting ahead of myself. What does this have to do with Black Canary? Well, it's interesting about that. Now, yes, there are the whole damsel in distress thing where, she's been captured a few times and ends up getting freed or rescued. And her clothing does have a very interesting fetish appeal to it. I mean, the fishnet stockings, the little choker collar and that. It's also kind of funny considering it on the show Arrow, instead of her usual thing in the comics, which may or may not necessarily work. Her outfit is something that actually would probably be considered more fetish than anything else. In fact, I remember seeing a story where Katie Cassie accidentally took her outfit home wearing it one night, and she, her neighbors thought that she's getting into being a dominatrix or something. And here's the other funny thing. There was a story where Sarah was put in the Lazarus pit, brought back, but she was brought back soulless. So to keep her and everyone else safe, Laurel had her chained up in her basement. So, let me get this straight. Black Canary dresses like a dominatrix. Her weapon is a collar. She apparently enjoys beating the crap out of people. And she will tie people up that she cares for their protection. You can't tell me there isn't any crossover there. But Yes, those are the funny little story elements here. And I know if you're probably scratching your head, why am I making a video about this? Isn't there more important things to talk about, like how she's been treated on Arrow and things like that? And that is. I was trying to use that as part of my analogy, what I'm building up here. See, in the BDSM world, the scene of where, there's where people get to, be on top or bottom or switch around or whatever, it's a lot like being a storyteller. I've done my own share of writing and things like that. And the whole thing about storytelling in comics or movies or TV, things like that, the storyteller gets to engage with the audience. They have something in mind that they get to put the characters through all kinds of hells. The highs, the lows, the build-up in the emotion, where things look like they're going to be at worst, and eventually where the heroes get to overcome it and reach that climactic satisfaction of taking down the bad guy and being victorious. As I said, this is all a very big part of it, and here's the funny thing that I feel that I need to educate you guys on. You see, typically in these scenes, you may not think that the person that's considerably on the bottom or the one that's receiving, being whipped or going through all of this thing, as being the one that has any control at all. However, these scenes, much like in writing, involves a level of trust with your partner. You're setting up a scene. You have to trust that you're telling a story and you're going through this roller coaster ride of emotion. But although the person that's doing this is the one that is engaging, the one that's having the story told to them or done with them is the one that has all the power, because they're the ones that say how far it goes, whether or not it continues to go far, and they're the ones that ultimately get to say, stop, I don't want to do this anymore. And if you violate that, then the trust is broken, and that's something that's very hard to get back. See, in the world of BDSM, sometimes fighting back or screaming it can be part of the game. Just like in the comics where a hero is like, let me go, stop, whatever, or stop, please, don't hurt them, don't do that. It's all part of the story. And we know eventually that sometimes the heroes manage to win, other times they don't always. But in the scene of BDSM, there is something referred to as a safe word. It's something that won't just come up out of it like, ow, stop it, please, or no more. It's something that's so unusual. This is a special code word between the people involved that once that's said, it means you stop, you take care of whatever the person needs help with. If they are entangled or bound up in something, you free them. You make sure that they are okay. You make sure that they are not hurt. If they're not comfortable with it at any point, when they say that safe word, you stop and you take care of them right now. Anyone that violates that trust, that safety, that part of the story, once you cross that line, it is damn near impossible to ever get that back. It means that you have gone too far, you've taken it too far, and you may have taken something from someone that ruins the entire aspect of the game or the play. And that's what I'm actually getting to here in the storytelling that's been going on for the DC shows on CW. People are not happy about what's happened to Black Canary, but on Legends of Tomorrow, we're getting things set up that for Season 2 of Legends of Tomorrow, our man is coming in, and he actually mentions the Justice Society of America. That's great. Originally, Black Canary was a member of the Justice Society of America too. Look what happened to her. Yeah. Arrow through the gut, identity revealed, dying indignantly in the hospital. Not necessarily in that order, but still. I mean, but hey, people still want to see what happens with the Justice Society. Hey, there's a great member of the Justice Society I can't wait to see. How about Wildcat? No, wait. Wildcat, a.k.a. Ted Grant, was actually in Arrow as a boxing instructor. He was a vigilante, although he didn't have the classic mask he had in the comics. He taught Laurel how to fight, and even took place in trying to take on Brick in earlier on the season, but he was so badly damaged and hurt that some people thought he was just killed off, or at the very least, he's not coming back to fight again. Huh. So, Wildcat came in as a knowing nod, but he was pretty much eventually screwed over once there was no need of him anymore. Okay. Let's see. Kendra and Carter, Hawkman and Hawkgirl, for first appearing in The Flash and Arrow, Legends of Tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, technically, since these are the reincarnated versions from Khufu and Shiera, that means that these are closest to the Golden Age representations, who they were also members of the Justice Society. And what happens in the pilot episode of Legends of Tomorrow? Carter dies. And later on, Vandal Savage is using his body and blood as a kegger. Ew. Now look, I'm all for good storytelling. But think about this. This is, Marc Guggenheim is also a producer for Legends of Tomorrow. He's also written on the Justice Society of America comics, as well as for stuff on Marvel, which I'm still questioning how he can be writing for Marvel while producing shows on DC at the same time. I mean, yes, I know Kevin Smith and other people have written for either Marvel or DC, but at the same time, it just makes me wonder about a conflict of interests there. But hey, okay, Black Canary, original JSA'er, look how she was treated. Pretty much killed off and disrespected for illicity, some say. Wildcat came in to train Black Canary, but had the crap beat out of him, hasn't been back since. So I guess he spent all of his 9 lives. The Hawks. They've gone through an emotional roller coaster ride. Poor Cisco and Ray got their hearts broken. And at the end of Legends of Tomorrow, they decided since things are done, they're going to try to make a life. So they doesn't look like they're coming back anymore. But still, at the beginning of Legends of Tomorrow, Carter died. They turned Carter into Rory from Doctor Who, which is hysterical considering that Rory, played by Arthur Darvill, is on the show. So it's a bit of a roller coaster. So no, that's just 3 out of the track record of the Justice Society characters. I got a great idea. How about a classic Golden Age Justice Society character? He'd be great on The Flash. After all, they can't possibly screw up Jay Garrick. Too soon? Yes, I know that this coming week we're going to get to finally see the season finale of The Flash, and we may get a big reveal about the Man in the Metal Mask being someone special. But still, take a look at the track record of the way that the producers have been handling characters from the Justice Society. Now, given everything that's happened, not just with how Black Canary's been done, but with the Justice Society in general, ask yourself, do you really feel comfortable with Marc Guggenheim telling a good story and taking the characters of the Justice Society, the characters we've grown up reading, and having him trusting it to do the right thing in his hands and the writer's room's hands, given everything else they've done? They've got Our Man coming in for season 2 of Legends of Tomorrow. Part of me wants to see this, and I do like Our Man, but it's a superhero based on a drug addiction. It's actually true. Check it out. I would like to see this, but I have a doubt whether or not Mark's going to be able to handle this. And I've never really seen the man in interviews. I've never really heard him speak, but I have my own superpower. It's called emotional hypersensitivity. For me, I can sometimes pick up things from people and try to get from their perspective as if I were feeling it or experiencing it themselves. So this is what I imagine Marc Guggenheim's position would be in regards to his writing career and what's going on with his status on Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow. If I am incorrect, please feel free to correct me on this, but in order to try to understand where his thought process is and to understand where he's coming from his perspective, if you're trying to argue or debate or just to have a conversation with the guy to try to change his mind, it's important to imagine what they're going to say on the other side of that. So let's see if I can try to picture this. Okay, everyone's complaining about Laurel, Dinah Laurel Lance. And they say, oh, it's not like the canon. Okay, well, originally Dinah Laurel Lance was the second Black Canary. The original was Dinah Drake Lance. She was a part of the Justice Society. So, what's going on there? I mean, do we expect Alex Kingston to be running around in fishnets and a mask? That's a little bit demanding, don't you think? How about this? You talk about original canon in the comic books. During one long period, Dinah, her secret identity, wasn't an attorney. She run a flower shop. A flower shop! At least I made Laurel an attorney. Do you want to have her running a flower shop as canon again on the TV show? And Sarah. Okay, sure. I took some liberties there. I made Sarah the Canary before Laurel. Well, guess what? Originally, the Black Canary was a villain. But she became so popular, people liked her, and she became a hero. What about that part? Originally, yeah, she was a thief, and she stuck it to the good guys, but she eventually turned things around. Originally, now the White Canary in the comics is an Asian assassin woman from a family of assassins. I made Sarah into something that was special. You all love her for that. You loved her on Arrow. You hated when she died. You loved it when she was brought back. You love watching her as part of Legends of Tomorrow. But technically, that was my creation. She never existed in that form until I came through. Do you want that wiped away so you can bring Laurel back as canon? See, as I said, these are things I imagine him saying. But doing something like that to someone but we've loved Black Canary for 70 years. And although he has introduced Sarah, turning her into various canaries into it, and has become something beloved, I do enjoy Katie Lotz' performances. But doing certain things like dismissing the actual character of Dinah Laurel Lance in the way that it has been portrayed, and even if Mark ever has uttered those words about Katie Lotz' version of the Canary, or just how he's treated these characters from the Justice Society and the canon that's existed, if he's ever uttered anything like that, then that's not just storytelling that is iffy. That's almost an abusive relationship. That's not good for anyone. What I'm saying is that as of a couple years, although we are excited to see anything from the Justice Society of America come forward, because we know that eventually they are what leads up to the Justice League of America, we have to question these characters' portrayals in the hands of the writer's room led by Marc Guggenheim. Yes, he wrote for Justice Society of America, but if he keeps on disrespecting the comic book fans in favor of the Olicity fans, if he keeps mocking the comic book lovers, calling them the silent minority, then this isn't trust. And as a storyteller, sure, we've gone through highs and lows, but if someone flat out does the virtually Schumacher level of butchering these characters that we love, we, as the audience, we as the parts who are receiving what he's giving, we have the power to say, no, stop, that's enough, I don't like this ends now. And I really hope you can fix this. See, that's a responsibility that the storytellers have. We are not just ratings. We are not just dollar signs to them. We are people with passion. We have read these characters. They have become parts of our lives. And we wanted to see them done accurately in representations on the TV. Which leads me to this. As I was telling you guys, I was politely asked if I could tell people about the Change.org petitions. And I said, sure, I can do that. But I didn't think there was enough of an emotional kick to really make any change that would stick. Well, I thought about that. And this is why I also made the whole BDSM analogy. As I was talking about, there are safe words. Once those words are said, it is a sign to all sides to say, stop, wake up, see what you've done wrong, take care of the problem, fix it, and take care of your people. See, I liked Green Arrow growing up. He was a man of the people. He took care of the little guy. I know I may look a little like him in the beard and stuff, but to me, comic books aren't just entertainment. Characters and heroes like these are role models. They show us that we can stand up for ourselves and to fight for what we believe in against the odds. Because that does matter. Even if you don't have powers, making a stand is still important. So, instead of mobilizing the troops or asking people, or telling people rather in the no laurel, no arrow movement about something, I would like to ask everyone that watches this video, as a sign to show that you guys have heard my message and are also supportive in trying to get Black Canary back on and to change things in the DC CW TV universe. I hear that now Jeff Johns is in charge of that. I like Jeff Johns. A lot of the stuff he's done I like. Other things, a little iffy, but I have a bit more trust in Jeff Johns right now than I do in Marc Guggenheim. So, with that in mind, I would like to ask all of you a little favor. From now on, if you're going to be signing the petitions, if you're going to be writing to Marc Guggenheim or the Arrow's writing room or Legends of Tomorrow writers room on Twitter or contacting the CW, like I said, I think a safe word needs to be used to get our point across. So, I think the most perfect thing to do is the words that you and I have grown up with seeing Black Canary and Green Arrow say. It's a little term of affection that Green Arrow always said to Canary, something we've always loved, and something, unfortunately, thanks to the writer's room at Arrow and Marc Guggenheim, we have never had a chance to see Oliver say to Laurel, and may never see it unless action is taken. The safe word is pretty bird. A term of affection. And normally it's something that it's told between those two. I wouldn't normally want to go there, but desperate times call for desperate actions. Pretty bird is the perfect phrase that shows a love for Black Canary. I mean, this is a strong, independent, powerful woman who uses her apparent sexuality and everything to lure people into a false sense of security, and bam! You don't need to save Black Canary. However, if she has a blind spot and she's feeling generous, she'll let you save her. That's Black Canary. That is the character that I and a lot of other people love. So, if you're going to make any comments on the change.org petitions, if you're going to talk about it, please use the words pretty bird. I think it's perfectly fitting. Think about it. These are words that we never got to hear thanks to Marc Guggenheim. I would personally love to see these words come back to haunt him, because I want people to write in the comments section in the change.org petitions, bring back pretty bird. Or how about writing to him saying, no laurel, no arrow, give us back pretty bird. I want these words to be an anthem of our love, our strength, everything that we have for the character of Black Canary, and I want to haunt Marc Guggenheim with them. Like I said, it's just a little request. Not an order, not marching orders, but I would very much like to put that out there for you. I want pretty bird to be the safe word that we indicate that Marc Guggenheim and the Arrow writers have lost our trust in not only Black Canary, but also how they may be handling the Justice Society of America. If they keep doing to them what has been done to Laurel on the show, it's going to be something I don't think a lot of us are going to want to see. It's something that people will be calling for a reboot to fix. And to reboot the entire franchise at this point may be impractical, but it may be one of the only things to save the fandom. I don't want it to come to that, but this is a wake-up call. This is an alert besides the, no, stop it, stop doing that. We want Black Canary back, no laurel, no arrow. No, the safe word is pretty bird. So, please, Let that be our canary cry. I want to speak for the Black Canary character. I want to speak for the Black Canary fans. I want to speak for my fellow fans and the little guy to make sure that Marc Guggenheim, the people at DC and CW hear us and make sure that the changes are made back. I want to see her come back. I want to see the pretty bird return. What do you guys think? Please, make your voices heard. Like, comment, subscribe, share, pass this bad boy around, pass the message around. No laurel, no arrow. We stand for you, pretty bird. Until next time, Dave signing off. Peace. Yum, yum.